Hey everyone, today we're going to be starting a new chapter, moving on from rational functions and graphing polynomials and all that stuff, and moving more into trigonometry for this semester. So we're going to be in chapter 6 in your book, and this chapter is all about trigonometric functions. So when you think trigonometric functions, think like sine, cosine, tangent, and then eventually 3 more angles which we'll introduce as well. But that's what we're talking about. So think of angles, think of sine, cosine, tan, things like that. Today we're going to start on a more basic level, and we're just going to talk about angles and graphing them in what we're going to call standard position. So first of all, we just need to define a couple things, and then we're going to be doing some activities on Delta Math to practice this. Typically in class, we would do some of this with a protractor, but it's a little bit different this year, and Delta Math has some good activities to help you practice this. So, first of all, let's just go ahead and define an angle. An angle is two rays drawn with a common vertex. So just a little bit of a reminder what a ray is. A ray is a line with one endpoint, and then the other end just kind of goes on forever. So it's two rays, and they have a common vertex, meaning if I were to draw another ray like this, that would create an angle. So these are two rays. They both end at the same vertex here, and that creates an angle. When we graph an angle in standard position, it's going to look something like this. I'm going to have my first side of my angle down there on the x-axis in the positive x direction, and then the other part of my angle might go here, could go the opposite way, whatever. But the angle is measured from this side to this side. That's how we measure it. This is called the initial side to the terminal side. So if it's going that way, the way that I drew it there, that is counterclockwise, then it's a positive measure. So maybe this is like 110 degrees. Generally, you're going to draw angles that way, but we are going to practice both positive and negative angles. If the angle goes the opposite way, if it goes clockwise, then it's actually a negative measure. And we'll practice both of those. So counterclockwise is positive, and clockwise is negative. These sides that I drew on here in standard position also have a couple names. The beginning side there is called the initial side. So that's the side that's always going to be on the x-axis, whether it's positive or negative. And then the other side, sort of the ending side, is called the terminal side. So we've got the initial side and the terminal side. When we're graphing these, we're going to graph both positive and negative measures. So hopefully you know what I'm going to show you, but if not, it would be just a little bit of review. We start here. This is, say, 0 degrees. That's going to be our beginning point. If we were to draw an angle that went just like, straight up in the air up here, and our initial side was here, that would be a 90-degree angle. So from here to here would be 90 degrees, right? If we were to extend it all the way out to here, well, that would be 180 degrees. So if it went from here, that would be 180 degrees. If we went all the way down to here, that would be 270. Because we're just adding 90 degrees for each quadrant. And if we went all the way around the circle, we'd end back at 360. Okay. So your first thing you're going to be asked to do is to just kind of estimate some angles. So it's important that you know these spots, 0, 90, 180, 270, and 360. It's also probably good to know just kind of what would be in the middle. So right directly in the middle of that, between 0 and 90 would be 45 degrees. And then right in the middle here would be 135 degrees. Right in the middle here would be 225 degrees. And right in the middle here would be 315 degrees. So those would be the major ones. That should be enough for now. When we talk about something called the unit circle, we'll be a little bit more specific, but those are the major ones that you should know that are going to help you. I would draw this It's going to help you when you have to estimate the angles. If we're to do the same in the negative, we're still going to start at 0 degrees. We're just going to move the opposite direction. So instead of going counterclockwise, we're going to go clockwise. So this would be negative 90 degrees down here, which is equivalent to 270 degrees. Those are the same. This would be negative 180 degrees. So negative 180 and positive 180 are actually the same position. And then this would be negative 270 degrees up here, which is equivalent to positive 90 degrees. And then all the way back around would be negative 360 degrees. Back to the beginning. So similarly, we could fill in these middle spots. This is going to be negative 45 degrees. Here would be approximately negative 135 degrees. In the middle here would be negative 225 degrees. And here would be negative 315 degrees. So like the other one, I would draw this little picture. This will help you when we're going to be estimating in the next activity here. So let's go ahead and get to that. Flip over to Delta Math here. The first thing you're going to be doing is estimating. It also gives you the quadrants. We'll talk about that more when we do the unit circle, but you should be a little bit familiar with these quadrant names. If you remember from probably Algebra 2 or Algebra 1, this is Quadrant 1, Quadrant 2, Quadrant 3, Quadrant 4. So they also move in a counterclockwise fashion, the same way that we're going to be moving these angles. All right, so what we're asked to do in this section is to estimate the given rotation within 10 degrees. So you can see here, this is our initial side, this is our terminal side. And you can see which way the angle is going here. It's going this way, which tells us it's going to be positive. Definitely be positive. And so we're just supposed to estimate that. You have to get within 10 degrees. I've done a few of these. You won't always get it right, but it's okay. You don't lose points if you miss it or whatever. But you're just going to try to estimate this within 10 degrees. So what I would look for is, well, this is 90 degrees. It's a little less than 90 degrees, right? But this is 45 degrees here. So I might say like around 80 degrees. I don't even know for sure what it is, but you just have to get it right within 10 degrees. So let's say about 80 degrees. Type that in, submit. And it was 75 degrees. So we're good. We're within 80 degrees. You can see they actually did 30, 60, 90. They did it by 30s. You're welcome to do that as well. We'll again talk about that more with the unit circle. Okay, the next one, we have to get it right within 10 degrees. Notice again it is positive because it's going around the circle this way. And this is 180 degrees. This here would be 225. So it's somewhere in between there and a little bit closer to 180. So I might say like, I don't know, it's probably close to about 200. Yeah, just say 200 is probably fine. Probably not exactly it, but it should be close enough. Yeah, that's good. It's 198 degrees. So if you miss it, again, it's no big deal. You're just supposed to try to estimate where it is. Do one more. Yeah, the next one, positive as well. Estimate that. This is 270 degrees. Right, this is 360. And this looks like actually right smack dab in the middle there, right about 315 degrees. So I'm just going to go ahead and type in 315. And it was 319. All right, I think these are all positives, so you shouldn't have to worry about negatives yet. Yeah, looks like they're all going to be positives. Okay, so that's our first section. The next two sections, we're going to be actually doing these. Again, there we go. All right, so we're actually going to be graphing these. That is not what it's supposed to be. Hang on one sec here. All right, here we go. So what we're asked to do is rotate the point within 10 degrees. So basically, we're supposed to draw the angle. That's what it means, draw the angle. Rotate the point, saying draw the angle. First section will all be positives. So we're going to want to think 136 degrees. Well, you might even want to label these or look at your chart. This is 90. This is 180. And right there in the middle was 135. So it should be right almost in the middle of the two quadrants there. So right there, that's probably good. So the angle from here, this is the initial side, around to the terminal side, should be approximately 136 degrees, give or take. Just has to be right within 10 degrees. There, looks like we did it. So it says my rotation was 137. So I only missed it by 1 degree. That's pretty good without using a protractor. So we're good. You just have to be right within 10. Okay, the next one is to do 71 degrees within 10 degrees. So 71 should be somewhere in between 90 and 45. Let's go and try that. Hopefully about somewhere in the middle, a little bit past the quarter mark there. Let's try that. And again, it's okay if you miss this, not the end of the world. So mine was 67, so it wasn't too far off. All right. Do one more positive one here. The negatives are a bit more challenging. 112. I'm going to try to find a big negative. Big positive, sorry. Well, there we go. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. All right, so next up is a big positive. So we're just going to do the same thing. 241 is going to be somewhere between 270 and 180. And then I would just mark the one in the middle, which is 225. So it should be, it's 16 away from 225, and it's about 29 away from 270. So it should be a little bit closer to 225, somewhere around there. So you just click on the yellow, drag it this way, say somewhere about there, and submit. Good. Looks like mine was 239. So it's 2 degrees off. Not bad. All right. Next up is going to be negative rotations, is the last thing. This will be just a bit more challenging, but as long as you have the chart, it shouldn't be too bad. So negative 190 degrees. So this is negative 90, negative 180, negative 270. So it's going to be in this quadrant here, quadrant 2. And it should be pretty close to negative 180, right? Because this is negative 225, which is pretty close to negative 180. So I'm going to aim for about right here. The one main thing that you want to make sure you do is drag it the other way. So it's going to be clockwise now. If you drag it counterclockwise, it will not work. You have to make sure the arrow is going the opposite way. Let's go ahead and submit that. And we're good. So mine was negative 193. So it works the same. Let's do a couple more. Negative 95 degrees for the next one. Negative 90 is down here. So it should be just past negative 90. And in fact, if you actually put it on negative 90, that would work because it has to be within 10. We'll go just a bit past negative 90, see if I can get it right. Right there. All right, looks like I got it exactly. Nice. All right, so these are drawing angles in standard position. Let's do one more negative 201. So this is negative 180, negative 225. So it should be right about in between those two markers. Just make sure, again, we're dragging it clockwise and do a little bit closer to negative 180 right there. And there we go. Mine was negative 203. So good. All right, that's it for this video. Reach out to me if you do have questions. Thanks.